Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks. Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network, and welcome to our ongoing series which you could be a part of called the Vibrant Longevity Community. I've had the honor of meeting Dr. Noam Shealy. It's been about 34 years. I was at a used bookstore. I picked up one of early books. Noam has over 40 books. He's a neurosurgeon. He's an innovator. He's a seer. He's exceeded his degrees. He has many degrees, but he's exceeded them. His ongoing wisdom has contributed to many inventions and awarenesses that have helped people go from survival to bliss. He's helped many, many people go past chronic pain to mobility and really beginning to live again into another whole second life of vibrancy. And this year is dedicated to have you lengthen your telomeres, which means you're going to biologically grow younger. You're going to learn how to forgive in a way you probably never have, because a lot of things, we miss a lot of things. A lot of our culture is just like processed food. We have processed religion. We have processed conformity is our national anthem, right? A lot of what we're doing is about conformity. This is about deep wonder and aliveness and deep community. This is going to be a soul community, a community of people that really assist each other, cover each other's back, and grow in wonder and wisdom and young youth. So I want to welcome my Uncle Norm, Dr. Norm Shealy. I want to welcome you to the format today again. Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Always good to be with you.
Thank you. I want to welcome Lisa LaRose. 20 years ago, I met Lisa, and she's been a dear friend, family member, and she's one of my associate producers, and lives a life of spark and wonder. And it gets a little, I want to say it gets lonely. Maybe that's not the right word, but it's good to be able to have other people that keep living in the inquiry. I think particularly now, I don't think I've ever lived my life at a point where the level of fear and the level of, almost like fighting for ignorance. There's something going on that I have never experienced before. And the wonder of this kind of community is to really dig deep and have the safety to express yourself, to see something and really have a new brain. That's the other thing, is we can replenish and rejuvenate our brain. It's not like we have to have, dementia and Alzheimer's is a way of normality, or what I like to call terminal normality. We have with us today Amanda. I'm going to go grab your last name, Amanda. I'm not great at last names anyway, but you got a cool last name.
It's Freegon Lawrence, but yeah. So
Freegon
my
Lawrence.
maiden name is Freegon, and my married name is Lawrence, but we have it hyphenated.
I like it.
I wanted to keep the friggin' because it's friggin' awesome, So.
Well, last night I made my journey to Whole Foods, and I'm friendly with the security guard, and I'm always kind of joking to him about how people line up and to take the 6 feet from each other, and I joke a lot. I am in fact like an improv artist, and I joke with people. And so last night Amanda walks past me and she announces she's getting a medical exemption from wearing a mask, and I thought, I got to talk to this woman. She said it like she was Batwoman, she was here to do it, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I had to say to her, what's cooking on your side of the street? I thought about you, Norman. I thought about you, Lisa, and I thought it'd be fun to have Amanda kind of say, because in our culture right now, wearing, it's almost, I guess what it is for a lot of people, I don't think they've made a conscious choice in what they're doing, and I think for a lot of us, obviously, no one's ever really educated us on having a vibrant immune system. And I think the last thing Louis Pasteur said, he said it wasn't about the germs, it was about our internal environment. It was about the terrain. But yet there's a lot of fear. So I just thought it'd be cool to have you say something. I thought it'd be fun. I also felt like you would really enjoy and love being a part of this, and I want you to be a part of this, Amanda. So welcome to Vibrant Living, and welcome to Dr. Norm Shealy and Lisa. And just say something about the mask thing, only because. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. I thought when you started talking to me yesterday that you were going to be somebody to give me hell for it, because I have had that happen. Yeah, I had that happen to me in the store before when I didn't have it on. And
what do they say? What do they say when they give you hell? What do they say to you?
so this woman comes up to me and is like, no mask? And I'm like, yeah, I have a medical exemption. And she's like, well, you know, it's a cultural norm. Like, you're supposed to, I'm from, like, Europe, and everyone over there is doing it. It's just a social, like, you know, she was really mad at me. And I start just like, I'm like, well, just because everyone's doing something doesn't make it right. And, like, I was like, you know, I'm glad you're eating healthy food. Like, you're doing something good for your body. Like, you know, let me be, like, just let me shop. And I smile at her, and she just got, like, mad, you know? Like, people are really angry about it. And so I kind of just don't want to comply to it, because I know that it's not, you know, if they cared about our health, why aren't they talking about the real things plaguing society? Why aren't they talking about
we were talking about Roundup, actually, earlier today.
Yeah, exactly. Why aren't they talking about glyphosate? They pour 4.5 billion tons of it in the United States every single year. That's a lot of pesticides. And 80% of it ends up in the river, in Mississippi River. And then, like, there's a fossil aquifer that's, you know, millions of years old, completely run dry now, and it's contaminated with glyphosate. Like, that's insane to me. And you're not talking about that, but you want me to wear a mask for a germ? Like, I can't bend over and take this any longer.
Good for you.
Can you tell me
on
what basis you got your medical exemption?
So can I be completely honest with you?
Please.
Yes. I don't have one. I just told them that I do.
It's your idea of a medical exemption.
Yeah, so what happened was I went in there the first time without a mask. I just rolled in. And I went in with my husband and our 3 young children, all of us without a mask. And we kind of separated a little bit because I was nervous, you know, like breaking the rules, like what's going to happen. And so, and we have done this before in other stores, and most places don't say anything to you. But this place, some guy, like another customer came up to me, and he had like a face shield on with a mask and hand gloves, and it was like, can I get you a mask? And I was like, no, I'll die. And I just keep walking, like, in shopping. And then all of a sudden, sorry, let me get some water. One of the workers comes up to me and was like, do you need a mask? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And he's like, well, do you have a medical exemption? And I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, oh, because, well, actually, I go, so if I have one, am I able to shop? And he goes, well, yeah, we just have to take your temperature, and you just have to ask we have to, like, answer the questionnaire, you know, the thing they ask you everywhere you go. And so I was like, all right, you know, it's degrading, but at the same time, like, fine, if I can still shop in here without a mask, then I'll just do it. So that's what I do every time I go in there. I just say, hey, I have an exemption, I'm coming in to shop, and they just take my temperature, and I say no to all the questions, and I'm good to go.
Now, when they take your temperature, Amanda, do they take it from your arm, or do they point it at your forehead?
It's the forehead thing, which scares me a little bit, because I'm like, how bad is that for my brain?
Right.
Well, it goes right to the pineal gland. And so you can, and what you need to do is, please don't put it near my forehead. I would like to have it taken on my arm, you know, and you can use any part of your arm. You know,
so those ones do work on your arm? Yeah, because, like,
they do.
I like the person that does, like, one time the person did it for me, and then sometimes they hand it to me. So there's no protocol. They don't know how to handle somebody that just goes in and says no.
Right.
So
yeah, I'd like to hear, Dr. Shealy, what are your thoughts about when they point a thermometer to the center of your forehead?
Well, interestingly, I haven't had that done. Everywhere I've gone, it's been at the wrist.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So when I went to the chiropractor, Lisa and Norm and Amanda, they initially at the chiropractor, that was the protocol. I'd walk in, and they would do it to my forehead. And I tell you the truth, I must have been in a trance, because now that you're saying it, the pineal gland, I realized, gee, I didn't like getting my temperature taken. I was very anxious about it. I just didn't have a good feeling about it, because it felt like it was a new level of kind of conformity, and I didn't like it. But it didn't occur to me it could be hazardous. Could it be hazardous, Norm?
I don't think we know enough. Compared to a cell phone, I'd say it's nothing.
Okay.
I mean, as you know, will not use a cell phone. I absolutely refuse, because it doubles the risk of brain cancer.
I know, they're horrible. I have some EMF bracelets and stuff that I try to wear, but they just put up new towers in our tiny little town in Beckett, and I'm like, what the heck is that? You know, they never told us that was going in. Nobody asked me if I wanted that in my backyard. Right.
I'm curious, actually, Norm, have you researched any of these devices? There's one of them called a Q-Link. There's several that claim electromagnetic protection. Have you ever looked into any that you respect or that you feel could be useful?
I have an article on it. It protects you remarkably well from a lot of things. What we studied was putting an electric clock near the head. And the electric clock will disturb your brain if it's within 6 inches of your head especially. And the Q-Link totally prevents the change.
That's it. I'm calling Q-Link on tomorrow. I'm gonna get so Q-Link really works.
Yeah, I did this 10 years ago.
Okay. So the Q-Link is it's like a circular pendulum. Norm, correct me if it's a circular pendulum. I think you could put it. I believe you could wear it around your neck. You could put it in your pocket.
Yep.
Yes.
When I was doing the testing, we just laid it on the chest because they were lying down. We were actually doing an EEG.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Is it kind of like the organ that people are making now? Have you heard of that at all?
Like that, yes.
Yeah. I haven't. Yeah, I've seen some people making it now and they sell it on I've seen it on Instagram was where I first saw that actually. Yeah.
You know, the Dalai Lama's physician came to the Boston hospital, and when he did the rounds and he took people's pulses, it transformed them. Like when he would hold their wrist, it was like their auric body and their sense of ease, everything about them transformed. And so people had asked them questions about their experience, and they said it was almost hard to put into words what a difference it made, the level of touch that they received from the Dalai Lama's physician. So in our culture at large, we're so almost like we negate the impact of more subtle things, and subtle interactions, subtle energy. And I feel that. I actually had some. I actually called it's sort of interesting. I get during a week. I interact with a lot of people that are inventing products, or they're supposed to be, like as an example, they're supposed to be master herbalists. This woman is a Chinese herbalist, and what I'm always curious when I ask questions, I'm always curious what it is, like what questions are people asking about, what's possible beyond possible. I did a series with Dr. Richard Moss on the Ultimate Hospital. And the question is, what would be in an ultimate hospital? So when you went to this place, you would feel healed and energized. I want to ask you that today. If you were going to build an ultimate hospital, Norm, what would it look like and feel like? What would be distinct about it than from a conventional hospital from the moment you walked in? Like, obviously you have somewhat of a model doing this clinic where you work with autogenics, you work with you work with things that actually change people's whole field and give them an experience that changes their brain sometimes within a couple of minutes. How would you see that playing out if you were going to put a hospital together? Do you think it would be significant in terms of giving people a sense of bliss and a new beginning that we're not even close to right now?
I would build it with a copper pyramid roof, first of all, and that would be grounded. And, of course, I would have all my gadgets in various places. including the Rejuvimatrix, which puts out human DNA frequency, and lying on that for an hour every day can rejuvenate your telomeres. And, of course, I would have a place where you could recline in a vibrating music chair where you feel the music as well as hear the sound. And I would have a huge one room that was lined with quartz. Very, very remarkably soothing to have a quartz room. And I would have a mica bed. And
now that was the bed. That was a bed that you designed there in your area. You designed that bed so that people could. Another thing that would help lengthen the telomeres.
Yep, all kinds of goodies like that.
Yeah. So it's interesting in our culture when you mentioned the pesticides and it's sort of like the culture's kind of built in a way that seems very disconnected than what blossoms us, what makes us more human. And then we're kind of, like I remember when I went to 2 bookstores when I was a teenager, and I remember one bookstore had natural lighting, and then the second bookstore had fluorescent lighting, and I'd be so drained after I'd be in the fluorescent light. And I realized that no one ever mentioned that. And so like a lot of the culture, we would kind of be in environments that really weren't ever really designed for human beings to be in, and sometimes with no fresh air. And I realized when I would walk to school, I began to walk and bike to school at a certain point, and I just started to feel so much better. And I just couldn't believe that I would conform to sitting in a chair, reading stuff that seemed boring and disconnected from life. And so I began to bike on my lunch break, and I started to build into my life Dr. Sunshine and Dr. Fresh Air. And I started to study the teachings of the world's largest publisher, a guy named Bernard McFadden, who had this natural health hotel in New York and upstate New York. And he used to bury himself every day into the earth. He didn't trust banks. He was a multimillionaire, but he buried his money into the earth. And I got very interested in people that just live differently because I didn't understand. I couldn't quite get the whole idea that you conform, you get a job, someone tells you what to do. And like when I was in high school, people got their food from a vending machine. And I realized that, wow, like no one seemed to question this incredible process of living. And then I met a model. I met a model when I was about 19, I guess it was. I met Tony DeMarco. And she gave me her number. I met her at a trade show, and then she invited me to her apartment. That was my first powerful crush, by the way. It was very powerful for me. I just want to say that. She was about 27. She had written a book called The California Way to Natural Beauty, and she talked about how cosmetics were killing her. And I realized I was so intrigued. I went over to see her, and that was the first time in my life I put a one-day seminar together for her. And I invited a few of my friends, a couple of my friends actually. Concenza was one. What's the other one? And 2 Italian girls. And we spent a day there. And I realized, oh my God, this was fun. Like no one ever introduced me up until then to the notion that you could live your life and do something that was valuable, make a contribution. Like I always thought work was something that you had to like lose your life to eventually. You couldn't escape it. So it was sort of like, And so I think when I saw Dr. Norm's book, I thought, wow, here's a doctor that's talking about self-care and things you could do. Because I was already starting to realize that I felt the pressure. I felt the pressure from my parents. My father hated what he did. He was the national sales manager for Harman & Kardon. It was a high fidelity. And he didn't like it at all. He would just come home and read the work of Dr. Wilhelm Reich. He would tell me that most people live by terrible body armor, and what's the point of living if you have body armor? So mostly, when he got in bad shape, he would take Valium, and he would go to this Reichian therapist who would basically read his aura and then do deep body work on him. But my father never really integrated, and it never was really in his life as a way of life. And he went to bed and spent probably his last part of his life in bed. So when I saw Norm's book, I was sort of hungry for something different, very different, because my mother told me non-verbally. My mother told me that my pediatrician was like God. I think she had a crush on him too, and that when I went there, he's going to give me something to help me. And he gave me my first medication, and I lost my ability to sleep. So I had these headaches, and I couldn't sleep all night. And that was the first time I took medication. And no one ever warned me about it, gave me a thumbs up. So that was my beginning. I didn't have healthy people like Norm did. I kind of had people that kind of, even though my mother said to me, I'm Jewish, and my mother said to me, always one generation is better than the next. That was a philosophy. But being around what I was around, it was hard to experience that. I kind of felt like, well, does that mean taking more medication and kind of conforming your body, mind, and soul to this thing called schooling? Now, Norm, you had a different experience, obviously.
Well, we choose our parents, I believe, more or less. We choose a lesson to be learned or gained one way or the other. And, of course, my favorite statement, I didn't have the courage to choose abusive parents. I chose over-nurturing parents. And I have to admit, I'd rather be over-nurtured than under-nourished.
Me too. I'm writing that down now.
Right? I feel the same.
Yeah.
I agree. So, my experience was pretty bad, too, with the parenting, so I totally understand where you're coming from, Glenn,
right.
Of having the more under-nurturing in my life. So I can definitely feel you there. I think that's what drives
it's funny. When Norm says that, I realize for a lot of people, being nurtured is like being around my friends' parents. They weren't particularly pleasant either. So I realized, there's my friend's parents. Actually, I just had one set of parents, Larry Hershig's parents. I couldn't believe how well they treated him. I used to come home and thinking, oh, my God, I wish my parents were like Larry Hershig's parents. They really trusted him. And I don't know. I just thought it was like so different than my house. I got to admit, I had model parents in my teens. I was thinking, the Hershigs are just amazing. But my parents, I guess, I don't think as a kid you don't know that the conditioning is going to be that your parents are going to take on these subconscious beliefs and they're going to be terrified of certain things, and they're not going to see that. They might just yell at you and scare you, and then you walk around with that nervous system. And in a few moments we're going to do the autogenic exercise, and that's the beauty of the autogenic exercise, that you could shed some of this draining tension and heaviness that we take on as a culture. Like this, we got this hidden system. We got this hidden nervous system. This hidden system, our nervous system, and all of a sudden, for a lot of people, their whole experience of life is one emergency after the next. So when I see people wearing their masks, to be honest, I would bet if I went to Whole Foods right now and talked to 200 people, I don't think that many of them would say to me, God, I can't wait to put my mask on in the morning and not die from a deadly virus. Like, I wonder what they actually would say. Like, why are they doing it?
Yeah, I don't know. Because they're protecting, they think they're helping other people.
Right. Some people,
like
Norm, this woman said to me yesterday. Yeah, so that's the cultural conversation right now, is that we're doing it for other people. Norm, what were you going to say?
Well, interestingly, I live on a 256-acre farm, and a man came out and knocked on my door to give me an estimate on putting up a new fence around my garden. And he had a mask on. And I said, will you please take your mask off?
Good for you.
And that's what I said when patients walk into my office with a mask on. The first thing I say is, please take off your mask.
Wow. What did he say to you? What did he say to you?
He smiled as he took off his mask and said, thank you. That's all.
Wow.
But nobody in my office wears a mask.
Mm-hmm.
We don't allow the staff or the patients to wear them.
That's awesome.
I think it is just slightly worse than BS.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it, I'm glad you brought up nurturing, because I had extremely nurturing mother, and both grandparents on both sides were very, very nurturing. My grandmother on my mother's side was Norwegian, and she had all sorts of healing remedies and would take me to reflexologists as a child, and all sorts of things that were not in normal, a lot of normal households, I guess. I mean, she did yoga back in the early 70s when it wasn't, chic, and my friends would come over and they'd see my grandmother doing her yoga practice, and she'd get us all into different, poses and whatnot. But that was really my paradigm I grew up with, was that everything that we needed to heal us was here on planet Earth. And then when I was in my discovery stages after college, I discovered one of your books, Dr. Shealy, was your Healing Remedy Source Book with over 1,000 different remedies. And if you would see that book, it's well loved and well used, and so really, if somebody had an ailment, I went to that, and that was sort of like, that was nurturing to me. I could go there and I could find, whether it be an essential oil or an herb, or it gave me a sense of comfort and confidence that I could find a remedy that would help. And and so thank you for that nurturing that you contributed to my life, because it really, like I said, I don't know if is that in your library, Glenn? I know you were going through a lot of your library books, or the books in your own library the other day.
I don't have that one in my library. I have Norm's Miracle book, which I think has a silver cover. I think I still have an old copy of Occult Medicine Could Save Your Life. That was the old edition. I used to have a copy of, I think it's called The Creation of Health, with Dr. Norm wrote with Caroline Mace.
Yep.
Right? And I have, I think I have the original 90 Days to Self-Help.
I have that one as well.
Yeah, okay. We'll go into the bonus round, and we'll see what else you have. That's worth $1,000 today, by the way, the bonus round.
No, but you know what? I think that would be, when we talk about this year-long program, Glenn, I think that would be definitely one to put on people's reading list, and let's make it, a required textbook almost, because we've lost that, and I think that's what Amanda has said. There's this conformity where people say, well, can't you just go along with this? And no, and I'd rather, choose 90 days to self-help and strengthen my immune system, or choose some alternatives, as opposed to, just letting go of my free thought and free will and going along with the plan.
So
and our body, that's our last form of that's our last saving grace of freedom, is our body. And, it's our temple, and we don't treat it that way. And they're just giving it away to, whoever. People don't even question their doctors. They just think everything that they're being told is correct. And what I don't understand is how people don't do more looking into it now with all the information that's available. But, it's also harder now to find, I think. Unless you're already looking, you're not going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I became friends with the psychiatrist. Norm, he was a psychiatrist, but then he realized after 30 years of back pain that what he learned at psychiatry school kept him in chronic pain. Dr. Jerry Jampolsky, he had written a little book called Love is Letting Go of Fear. And Jerry read, I think it was I forgot what day it was, reading The Course in Miracles, but he said all his pain disappeared because he realized that he was actually hurting people as a psychiatrist by diagnosing them and creating more fear in their lives. So he said it was because of his psychiatry practice that he developed this mental illness which went into his back. And so I carried Jerry's book. I got really interested in living my life by a shift of perception, because I realized the perception of the world is very fearful. So when I saw you, Amanda, I kind of felt this sense of what I call living from the one mind. I kind of felt a sense of oneness with you. And it was like a social risk, too, because it was funny that you say you might have perceived me as, a not friendly person. But you certainly seemed very receptive from the moment I said something to you. And then the security guy said to me, he said, he goes, I hope she doesn't think that, I'm going to be mean to her or anything. He goes, I think it's great she's doing this. He was like, he wanted to let you know that he thinks it's really good that you were doing that. He didn't want to be, I guess he didn't want to be perceived as the bad guy who's going to enforce the rule or something.
Well, I saw him nodding along when I was, talking my stuff, so I kind of got the vibe that he, felt the same way. And, I talk friendly with the security guards, too, there, and because I get I think more people than we think want to take that mask off, but they're too afraid to, be the one. So many people come up to my husband and I and are like, we can't, we just don't want to be bothered with confrontation. We just can't be that person. And it's like, well, we're that person because this is it, guys. Let's get going. We can't just keep letting this happen.
Yeah. So. Well, I ran into a paradox about, the paradox I ran into was that my son had fallen near a rusty fence, and I was going to get him a tetanus shot, just a tetanus shot, because at the time they had they had mixed 2 or 3 other vaccines, so it was tetanus. What was that shot called? DBT?
It is the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Yes.
So what happened was the president of the Physicians for Social Responsibility. He's the president of that association. And I tell him, no, I didn't get vaccines because I've been reading a book called How to Raise Healthy Children in Spite of Your Doctor. How to Raise Healthy Children in Spite of Your Doctor by Dr. Robert Mendelsohn. And he still called the Department of Public Services on me. And yet his position as the president of Physicians for Social Responsibility was all about ending nuclear weapons and the whole concern about the side effects of the whole nuclear thing. And yet it's paradoxical. Norm, what's your take on that? To see someone in that position be so adverse to vaccines. So even growing up, I didn't understand how parents would so willingly let and now it's incredibly excessive. I think a child gets, I don't know if it's 15 shots or it's a lot of shots.
It's a lot.
50, at least 50.
I can show, unfortunately, before I knew any of this stuff, my first daughter, I went through the whole line of it all, and so I have her whole record, and it makes me sick when I see it, how many they give to the kids, and my last 3 are unvaccinated. Yeah. And, I get nervous that the pediatricians are going to say something, but the one we go to, he is foreign. I'm not sure where he's from, but he's from, overseas, so he's a little bit more holistic than I think most people are. So I had a similar incident as you, Glenn, with my daughter. She got poked by a rusty fence, and it got infected, and we had to bring her in. And I was nervous. I'm always apprehensive about any shots, and I was like, I'm not, does she really need it? And the doctor actually was like, no, it's really not necessary. She doesn't need it. And so he didn't recommend it, which I was relieved by because I'm super apprehensive about any pharmaceuticals. I try to avoid anything like that at all costs.
What's your comment, Norm? You were going to say something. You've been in practice over 60 years. What's your comment about early immunity enforcement in our country? I know you said that once people take conventional drugs, for the most part, you don't see that they work. They hurt people. What's your take about children, inoculations, and the early healthcare system we have in terms of raising healthy children?
Well, I think it's grossly overdone today. Back in the days when it was, smallpox and DPT and maybe one other, that was not so bad. But I honestly believe the instance of autism and all kinds of other related problems of attention deficit disorder is unequivocally related to all of the stupid vaccinations. And I know absolutely zero drugs, especially mood drugs, any anxiety, antidepressant drugs. The kind of thing I can say on the radio is they suck.
Yep.
And under no circumstance will I prescribe them to anyone, period. I'm working right now with a young lady who was thrown into almost psychosis by a single dose of Wellbutrin.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, not uncommon. It's going to require us 2 full weeks of working with her 8 hours a day to hopefully bring her back.
Mm. What's this year-long program? What's possible in a year? Because some people are going to come in, they're going to be addicted to pain pills. Some people have had chronic illnesses they consider to be part of their normal life, part of their life. Some people want to be coaches and they want to bring this into their practices. A year. So I think you said that the autogenics, which we're going to do in a moment, this beautiful, deep, regenerating, rejuvenating relaxation exercise. What's possible for the dedicated people that are coming to our Vibrant, and it's going to be such a wonderful community of people. What's possible in a year in terms of working with the genetics, the habits that a lot of people accepted as normal? What's possible for a year in terms of regeneration, rejuvenation, and really becoming new and younger?
Well, it depends on what they're willing to do. Remember, 97.5% of people, in my opinion, are too stupid to be alive.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm serious. Right. There are 5 unequivocal requirements if you want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. The first of those is a normal body mass index, 18 to 24.
Mm-hmm.
Over 72% of people are above that. The second one is to eat a minimum of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, a maximum or an optimal of 8 to 10. The average person gets 2.2. The third is no smoking. 22% of Americans still smoke. The next is 30 minutes of physical exercise 5 days a week minimum. That's like breathing. Only 10% of Americans get that much. And next is sleeping 7 or 8 hours every night. And again, over 40% of Americans don't get that. So if you take all 5 habits, only 2.5% have all of them. Now, to me, if you don't have those habits, you're too stupid, really, to be alive. And you're going to become ill.
You really don't give yourself a fighting chance because if your body's not functioning the way it's supposed to.
Right. Exactly. And you can't be healthy if you don't have these habits. I mean, I start my day with 20 servings of fruits and vegetables in a dried powder, but it's a lot better than not having them.
Yeah.
Well, I think the notion that we have a chronological age and a biological age, our true age, is a revolutionary concept in the sense that we could grow younger, because clearly it doesn't really matter it matters our biological age, our true age, and so we could reverse that, but also we could we could grow in wisdom, we could develop habits of learning how to forgive, and the things that actually allow us to live in this wisdom, which is so much a part of a vibrant longevity. And I really love being around people full of goodness and brightness. When I see people full of goodness and brightness, like Dr. Norm, Lisa, Amanda, it really moves me. I feel like I'm willing to stop whatever I'm doing to be around them, and that's the kind of community I see for our vibrant longevity community. It's kind of like the idea of purification. There's a line from the Course in Miracles that says that miracles are our destiny. It's our way of life. But spiritual purification is a must. So we need to purify, and you're having those 20 fruits and vegetables. I know when I do some of the fundamentals, the brightness of life comes through. As a matter of fact, when I get off this call, I'll be getting on the phone with, and we'll introduce you to Dr. Andy Rosenfarb. And Andy has people traveling the world to see him as an acupuncturist naturopath treating the eyes. And so one of the things he told me in conventional eye care is to leave people in the dark via diagnostics, via assumptions, and by not acknowledging that your eyes reflect the inner body, what's happening inwardly. the first time I met Andy, I asked him about writing a book together, and we were going to put an event together at Carnegie Hall, which was canceled because of the virus. So because of the people's perception of the virus. And for a lot of people, and I think, Amanda, we talked earlier, I think for a lot of people now, the amount of fear and depression and disconnection from that that sense of being full of life and brightness, because that's what I talked to Annie about, is really the whole purpose of your seeing is to be able to be a brightness generator, to be able to have embrightment live you. So you're a seer, not a looker, but you're seeing. And so this exercise we're gonna do with Dr. Norm is so beautiful. We're going to share this through our year. And I'm a facilitator. This is what I do. I'm a vibrant facilitator, and I want to bring you an environment where you could experience this and blossom in your life. And some of you may not know, I lost my beautiful, beautiful son Michael, July 20th, and I'm in the course because I want to really build this other life in dedication to Michael, and because Dr. Norm did it he had lost his wife about 10 years ago. I feel like I want to learn how to experience what I call proof of Michael and bring him in my heart and life, which I do every day. That's how I begin my day. I open my heart with an imagery, and I take Michael's heart and put it in my heart. And I'm discovering a life I never had before, and I'm so honored to have Uncle Norm around me during this moment, because it's sort of confusing, because in our culture we tend to think that is it. If you die, that's it. And the pain of that disconnection for a lot of people scars them in a way they cannot rebound into life. So my thing is, I'm interested in rebounding into discovering this other life, bringing the love I feel with Michael into this life and sharing it with others. And that's what this course is about. It's really about bringing that. It's not just living longer. It's blossoming your intelligence, your wonder of movement, and hearing the song and energy of other people that are sharing that with you in ourselves. We come together. We do practice purification. We come together out of fullness of life. There's a purification that goes and allows us to live in the realm of the miraculous. I want to introduce you to the exercise now, the autogenic exercise, which Norma says there's 36,000 papers validating the scientific healing profound properties of this simple exercise, that after practicing it 3 months, you'll change and shift your autonomic nervous system, a system that no one ever has told us that we could impact at all. Your blood pressure, your sense of your cortisol, the things that a lot of times we live from being at the effect of rather than the cause. So I'm sitting here ready to do the exercise. I love this exercise, and I'm so happy to share it with you, Amanda, for the first time. And Lisa, I know that you're taking the beauty of this reservoir of this exercise. So Dr. Norm, Uncle Norm, please share the autogenic exercise with us. And if you're driving or paying attention to other things, please don't. Please give your full, open, easy attention to the autogenic exercise.
Okay, so wherever you are, as long as you're not driving, take a deep breath, let it go, close your eyes, and relax. And just feel your body. Just take a quick survey of your body, the feedback from what it's telling you, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. You can do it in a minute or less. And then with every breath, I will give you the words as you breathe in, pause, and then the other words as you breathe out. So as you breathe in, my arms and legs, and as you breathe out, are heavy and warm. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My heartbeat is calm and regular. 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 My breathing is free and easy. 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 My abdomen is warm. My abdomen is warm. My abdomen is warm. My abdomen is warm. My forehead is My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My mind is quiet and still. 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 I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. And again, just feel your body. Get the awareness of how your body feels now in each and every part compared to when you started. And then take a deep breath, open your eyes, and stretch comfortably. So, Glenn.
Yes.
May I tell the story of perhaps the most poignant event since my wife passed?
Oh, please, yes.
Please. Several years ago, I was in Connecticut doing a workshop at Graduate Institute. I went out to lunch with the people who were, hosting me. I'm having lunch with them, and all of a sudden, I got this message. Your grandson, Jared's first child, will be the reincarnation of your wife. My keys, which I had in my pocket, disappeared. Exactly 2 weeks later, I'm home. A long-standing family friend comes to visit, Morris Netherton. We're sitting here at the table having a glass of wine, and he says, Norm, 2 weeks ago, I was in my backyard, and Charlie came to visit. He said, Morris, I have a message for Norm, and it's about Jared. And then she disappeared. So I started telling him the story of what happened in Connecticut. And the two of us see my keys appear in midair, drop to the floor.
Wow.
Now, he's just 23, and he's not married yet, but I have to say I'm waiting. Now,
very exciting.
She and I both are absolutely certain he is a reincarnation of her father. When he was 18 months old, he was like an engineer already. Her father was an engineer.
That's incredible.
Life is so big when you see the interconnectedness of it, and that's what my vision for this year is. We'll open up and see each other. We'll go beyond looking at each other. But I realize just hearing that, it kind of gives me a sense that I'm going to see Michael again and again. And so we're also putting a summit together in October. And I want to thank you guys. We're on prn.fm. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks, along with Dr. Norm Shealy, Amanda, Lisa LaRose. And we're exploring some of the things you could begin to bring into your life now. That's simple practice. And Norm, tell people how they could get the practice, the autogenic exercise, so they could begin to practice it and learn the enormous benefits.
If they really want it, all they have to do is email me, and I'll send it to them. I'm happy to do that. Norm at normshealy.com. Just say, please send me autogenic training or the exercise. And I don't know what you mean. Norm at normshealy.com.
Okay.
Now, if they want a free copy of my book, 90 Days of Self-Health, they go to my website. Again, they can go to normshealy.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. And as a bonus, at no charge, they could get the book, 90 Days of Self-Health, an e-copy.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a Bible.
One of our recommended reading books for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful Bible, and this is your ticket out of terminal normality, right? You could leave terminal normality. You don't gotta conform to terminal normality. And,
interestingly, that book, I don't know if you remember this, that
yes.
book actually is a layer-sized version of my doctoral dissertation in psychology.
Oh, I didn't know that, no.
The day I finished I took my exam, to pass the doctoral, and once I passed it, I handed them the first copy of 90 Days of Self-Help.
Really? I didn't know that.
Public.
That's great. That's great. It's really wonderful. God, it's a bigger life. It's this bigger life, and once you could see it, I know for myself that once I head to the woods and I start to breathe and I see the trees, it really, it's that wonderful shift of perception. And I also, when I saw Amanda, I thought, wow, I wonder how many people did anybody see you ever do this? And they said you're not wearing, did anybody see the positive side and say, look, what made you not wear a mask? Did anybody ask you a positive side of not wearing a mask?
I had this one, younger guy come up to me one day, and he was like, hey, they don't yell at you for not having a mask. Somebody just came over to me because I had mine pulled over, on my head or something like that. And I was like, well, I just tell them I have a medical exemption, and they just take my temperature or whatever. And he's like, started going in on things questioning stuff. But I was like, I don't know, just that's what I do, and you should too, kind of thing,
Right.
We have to stand up for it, and we can't keep conforming to this. It doesn't make any sense. You can't make any sense of it. If they care about
Amanda,
health, then there's more to it.
There's a really great resource website that I just discovered called questioningcovid.com. It's questioningcovid.com, and there's a lot of videos from clinicians and researchers and doctors, and there's a whole section all about the mask and the it's I don't know who put it together, but it's really pretty comprehensive and worth sending people to. And I think in questioning things, rather than defending what you're doing, you're asking people to, inquire and do their own research and, give you a good reason why you should wear one, which they haven't been able to provide you with.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I do a lot on social media, too. If I see, I give people facts. If they care about health, then how come all of these things are still happening, to try to make their mind work a little bit and be like, wait a minute, that doesn't really make sense. So hoping that it plants a seed, and that they'll go further into it. But I know there's people, I've connected with some people from high school that have seen my posts because I'm not quiet about it anymore. I used to be. And they've reached out to me because, they feel kind of trapped, they don't know what to do. And I'm just you have to just stop doing it. You have to be the one to stand up, because otherwise no one's going to. I hate to compare it, but it's we can't, it's history repeating in a different form, It's just a different kind of warfare, basically.
Right. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks. By the way, questions are good. Inquiry. The first thing we got to, I think, do is become undefended and be willing to question. Because right now, I think in the culture, a lot of people are getting they're getting schooled in such a different way that I think it's a lot of fear. I want to leave it to Dr. Norm, Uncle Norm, to leave us with a wisdom thought seed for the week that you guys could live and breathe into, exhale to. What would you want to leave people with this week, Norm?
I want to mention Imoku A. At the beginning of the last century, there was a pharmacist in Nancy, France, who cured 10,000 people by having them say, he would hold their hand as they repeated 10 times, every day, in every way, I am better and better. Every day, in every way, I am better and better. Just saying that 10 times can actually help you heal.
Beautiful.
I want to
feel that deep in my
heart.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Uncle Norm, for being with us again here on the Vibrant Living Longevity. Amanda, I'll speak to you soon. I'm so happy you came by.
Okay.
And Lisa, I'll talk to you. I love
you so
you guys.
much for
Appreciate
having
you.
me.
Oh, you're deeply welcome. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. I'm Glenn Brooks for PRN.FM. And keep communicating. And remember, there's a step, there's a skip, there's a vibe in you. You could feel. And when you feel that, you'll never go back. You'll go forward. I'm Glenn Brooks. Thanks so much. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Have a great one.
Have a good day. Bye.